This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast, where CEOs of small to global companies share their insights. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because top CEOs know how to listen and be concise. So let's get to it. First of all, welcome. And in just a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Sean O'Shaughnessy, and Earl, thank you very much for having me on your program. I am a fractional vice president of sales. My company goes into other companies and we run the sales department for those other companies. We help them grow, we help them accelerate their revenue, we help them create a process that makes predictable revenue possible.
Outstanding. Well, tell me, Sean, what's the best thing about being the CEO of your company?
Well, so for me, the best thing about being a CEO is actually not just being a CEO, but actually giving back and allowing myself to help other companies. So I'm a service industry. Like I said, I'm a fractional VP of sales. I like the ability that I can take a company that is struggling to make their revenue targets, and I can help them achieve those revenue targets. I can help them be a prosperous, sales-oriented culture. So I love doing that for other companies and doing it for multiple companies at the same time.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you've heard this as well from other CEOs, just as I have, that leading a team and being able to see the road ahead to anticipate can be a challenge. What are your thoughts?
I agree that it's a challenge for a lot of CEOs. I'm a little bit blessed in that I only do one thing. Most CEOs have to run operations. They have to have marketing department running for them. They have to have sales working for them. They have a lot of different disciplines that funnel to that CEO. And the CEO goes to everything from the head of the company to probably the chief bottle washer, right? So I am lucky I don't have that problem. I actually can take part of that problem away from the CEO by running their sales department. So in this case, the CEO has another CEO, me, running his sales department for him, which is a big benefit to that CEO. So I do have challenges in running that department, that sales department, but I've run sales departments that have measured 500 people strong. So I really don't have a problem with a small business that has 15 salespeople or 10 salespeople. I don't have a problem running that kind of an organization. I can do that pretty easily.
Got it. Outstanding. Well, tell me, what specific piece of insight do you want to share with and for the benefit of other CEOs?
Sure. So my advice to other CEOs, small business CEOs, is advice that I gathered from a survey that my company did with 2,300 different participants, right? So we surveyed 2,300 leaders of small businesses, and we came up with some interesting insights. So 98% of all companies, small and medium-sized businesses, do not do a competitive analysis of their product versus their competition. That's a problem. So 98%. The other big problem that we see is that the marketing spend doesn't have an associated or tracked ROI with it. 88% of all companies do not have an ROI that they track, that they put together, that they put in advance on their marketing program. So those two issues right there make a massive problem that customers have to get through, or my customers have to get through. And then finally, most small businesses don't have a well-prescribed sales cycle that allows them to say, when a deal is at this stage versus another stage, what's its likelihood of going from one stage to another, and how do we manage that, and how do we make sure that works? Those three things right there, if I can instill that into a CEO, that can make the difference in his business right there.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, tell me, Sean, in your process, in your journey, what other successful CEOs, your contemporaries, who are successful like yourself, would you like to acknowledge or give a shout out to and should be on my podcast?
So my hero of all CEOs that are active today, obviously there's Tim Cook out there for Apple, but good luck getting him on your podcast. But my true hero, a man I met, I admire, I listen to his advice on LinkedIn on a regular basis, is Jim Whitehurst. He's currently is the president of IBM. But before that, he was the CEO of Red Hat. IBM purchased Red Hat. They liked him so much that they said, we'll bump you up to be president of the whole company. Jim is one of the best leaders I have ever met in my life. At one point in his career, he was also the chief operating officer for Delta Airlines. So he is just an amazing individual. And I think everybody should reach out and understand what he's done, listen to him on LinkedIn, and read his writings. On a more small basis, a smaller company basis, I'm also a big fan of Paul Hinz, Hinz. He is the CEO of Entondo. Entondo is a software company that I'm actually helping. But Paul is a wonderful CEO. He's really good at directing his people. He's good at leading his teams, and he's going to do a great job as a CEO. Even after Entondo, I have a feeling that he's got a long career ahead of him.
Outstanding. Well, Sean, in just a couple of minutes we have left, final question. How do you celebrate a win?
I love that question. That's a great question. I actually put this in my book that I wrote, but I'm a firm believer in celebrating small wins and individual wins. And I'm in sales, right? So everybody understands we get paid based on commission. We go to a club trip maybe at the end of the year, depending on the company. However, I coach all of my salespeople to figure out what is important to them and what small win they can put on those individual deals that are still significant deals. So if you get a deal that's 10% or 15% of your quota for that year, you should celebrate that with your significant other. I suggest things like pick a restaurant and only go to that restaurant when you've closed that big deal. So don't go there any other time. No honeymoons, no anniversaries, nothing else, only that time. Or maybe you're going to buy a new pair of shoes only when you get that new deal. Or maybe it's a new handbag or purse. Or maybe it's a piece of jewelry, but you only buy that when you get that big win. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's really close to bourbon country in Kentucky. So maybe it's that really good bottle of bourbon that you want to buy and you want to put on your shelf.
Outstanding. Those are good suggestions. So, Sean, it's been a pleasure having you on today. Last question, how can people find you?
Easy to find me. So you can go to my website, www.newsales.expert, E-X-P-E-R-T, or you can find me on LinkedIn at Sean.O'Shaughnessy. I'm out there on LinkedIn a lot. And my email address is Sean@newsalesexpert. Once again, that's newsales.expert. And I'll be happy to reply back, give anybody advice that needs advice.
Outstanding. This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast. For more insights, go to LinkedIn and search for The Gray Owl Company. Sean, thank you very much.
Thank you. This has been a great time. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.